Behind the glitter of the stage, behind the smile that captivates millions of eyes, and behind every step that is perfectly visible on the screen, lies a silent decision that has shaken the foundations of one of the largest agencies in the South Korean entertainment industry. The world of K-pop, which has always been filled with color, passion, and the madness of fanaticism, is now shaking again. But this time, not because of scandals, not because of romance rumors, nor because of internal conflicts between personals. What happened was much deeper, more personal, and more tense, a decision made by Jungkook, BTS's golden magnate, that made HYBE's top brass lose their way, fret, even almost panic. The world doesn't know, but now it's time to unpack them all. One by one. What exactly was Jungkook's decision? Why does it make the hearts of HYBE executives beat erratically? Why were there reports that HYBE's internal meeting atmosphere suddenly became tense because of just one short sentence that came out of this Busan-born man's mouth? And why, from behind the scenes, did news emerge that HYBE had tried to dampen this decision by all means, even supposedly to the point of offering an absurd deal in order to make Jungkook change his mind? It all started with something barely noticeable. A small gesture, an ambiguous phrase, a blank stare caught on camera, and finally, a personal decision that had an explosive impact. No one expected, even the hardline army never expected, that the decision that would make HYBE nervous came not from outside pressure, but from Jungkook's own inner voice. This time it's not about musical collaboration, not about solo projects, not about personal scandals. It's about the direction of life, about identity, about options that cannot be regulated by a contract. It's about freedom. Jungkook, a name that for over a decade has been a symbol of dedication and perfection in the entertainment industry, suddenly shows that behind all the celebrated success, there is a quietly growing fatigue. There is a desire to return to being a mere mortal. There is a need to breathe without a script, without a camera, without a schedule crammed from morning to the next. And all that exploded in one simple but very radical decision. Jungkook wants an indefinite sabbatical from the entertainment world. Yeah, you didn't read it wrong. Jungkook submitted a request for a hiatus with no deadline, no comeback plans, no promises. And this decision was delivered directly by himself in a closed-door meeting with HYBE's management team, a few days after he returned from his personal trip to the United States. A decision that immediately made the meeting room temperature plummet dramatically. Silence. Stiff. Gripping. According to an internal source who declined to be named, the expressions of the HYBE top brass at that time changed drastically. A pale face, trembling hands, a previously loud voice are now replaced by a hiss of an emergency full plan. They did not expect that the man who had always appeared as BTS's reliable ace, who was not even afraid to perform solo even though the group was undergoing a military phase, actually conveyed a very personal decision, and so uncontrollable. What caused Jungkook to make this decision? What's the trigger? Is this a form of protest against HYBE? Is this a form of trauma after the life experiences he went through secretly? Was this because of the pressure he endured alone for too long until he finally had to explode in this way? It was rumored that Jungkook had long felt himself trapped in a circle of excessive public expectations and pressure. Every step is checked. Every post was misinterpreted. Even simple decisions like cutting your hair or choosing a perfume can be the subject of international media speculation. This is not life. This is not art. It's a golden prison wrapped in praise. And at one point, even someone as strong as Jungkook felt enough. A source from among Korean celebrity psychologists who often deal with artists HYBE stated that this kind of phenomenon is not new. But the impact was tremendous when it happened to an icon of Jungkook's class. It's like BTS' heart choosing to stop beating for a while in order to save itself. And HYBE? They are clearly not ready. They were shaken. There are reports that HYBE tried to do everything to change this decision. They submitted exclusive international project proposals, collaborations with top global artists, and even promised full creative freedom in an upcoming solo album. However, Jungkook refuses everything. Calmly, but firmly. He's not angry. He's just tired. This time, he wanted to stop. Behind the scenes, the army began to fret. Some fans who are members of Jungkook's exclusive community detected a change in communication patterns from his idol. Jungkook, who usually actively uploads his daily moments on Weverse, began to slowly disappear. Even when he appeared, his eyes were empty. It seems present, but not really there. It was as if there was something he was withholding or even hiding, Not only that, but news also emerged that Jungkook's decision could disrupt BTS's overall comeback timeline. The other members are preparing to return after their conscription period ends. Jungkook, who had been relied upon as a transitional bridge between the old era and the new era of BTS, instead chose to step back from the control center. It's like a plane without a primary pilot. BTS can still fly, but its direction and stability are now in question. Industry analysts began to speculate. Will this be the beginning of a permanent BTS split? Will Jungkook's decision be followed by other members who also feel the same pressure? Will HYBE lose control of BTS completely? Meanwhile, fans on social media were divided. Some cried and said they couldn't imagine the world of K-pop without Jungkook. There are also those who actually feel proud because Jungkook finally dared to prioritize himself after years of living for others. Even hashtags like #WeSupportJungkook and #LetHimRest have been trending globally for days. But behind it all, there's an unspoken fear. If Jungkook really doesn't return, will BTS be able to survive? HYBE is now at the most stressful crossroads in their history. Not only are they facing massive potential financial losses from Jungkook's absence, but they are also facing a crisis of confidence from the public. Because in the end, one big question hangs in the air. If even Jungkook was unhappy at the height of his glory, then how human is this industry really? On a quiet night in his luxurious apartment, perhaps Jungkook was sitting alone, looking at the Seoul skyline from behind a large window. Perhaps he was remembering his childhood days when he danced in front of the glass carefree. Maybe he just wanted to get back to that point, when art was love, not obligation. And if that's the price to pay for his true freedom, then this decision is not a form of escape. This is the silent revolution of someone we once considered unshakable. Now the world is waiting. HYBE is waiting. The army held its breath. But only one person knows when it will all end. Jungkook. Golden Magne, who now chooses silence not because he loses, but because he chooses to win in his own way. And when he returns, if he returns, the world will no longer be the same. Because this time, Jungkook will return not as a product, not as an idol, but as himself. Free, intact, and stronger than ever. But not everyone in HYBE's circle was defensive or outright rejected Jungkook's decision. There were a few, including one creative director who is said to have been very close to BTS since the debut era, who actually stated that Jungkook's decision was the biggest wake-up call in the agency's history. According to him, the industry has too long herded its artists to walk in tracks made by the system, not by their own hearts. If even Jungkook finally wants to take a break, we should not question his decision, but question the system that makes someone like him have to make decisions like this, he said in a closed